Janet, it's not the sort of thing you can give a one-line answer to, is it? But,
No.
But one of the things that you've said that really resonates with me is that you were determined to stay the person that your husband had been in love with. So you didn't want to be a sort of shadow of yourself. So you couldn't be completely engulfed in sadness all the time.
Well, it's easy to become afraid of the world if you're facing it alone, I think, and it feels different. And every single thing you do, especially for the first time on your own, is overwhelmingly hard. I mean, going to a party, really hard. Going out to dinner, difficult. All the things that I used to really enjoy. You know, I've only been to the theatre on my own once, so that's one of my absolute passions. Even going to the cinema, because obviously I miss the person next to me going, well, what do you think of that afterwards? Like I said, I've got loads of friends to do this stuff with, but of course John and I did have a special relationship. But I do think you can't give one line except to say, tell people how you feel. When it's appropriate, tell them how you feel.
I mean, you were pleased that we were taking calls on this.
Definitely.
Because you said to me during the break, one of the best things that does help is to talk about
Absolutely.
it, especially if you can find people that you can really be honest with and don't have to put a good front on.
Absolutely. You don't have to say you're fine. You don't. If you're not, say you're not fine. And then I think you'll feel better. I hope you do anyway.
Have you thought of having therapy or you know, bereavement help, counselling to get you through, so that at least there's someone who sort of is paid and officially meant to hear about this stuff, so that you don't have to protect them from what you're
Absolutely. Personally not. I mean, I've been quite careful, I think, with my kids who have lost a father. You know, that's a different relationship.
Of course.
Not to burden them with how I feel about this all the time, because I don't want them feeling sorry for me. That's not our relationship, and there's nothing they can do anyway. I haven't thought of having therapy because I think therapy is absolutely brilliant if you don't know your way around something, or if you're really stuck. I know what's making me sad. I know it, so I don't need someone else to help me unburden and unpick what I'm going through. But if in the fullness of time I feel different, I'm glad it's there.
Right, let's go to the calls. On the line is Joe in Hampshire. And Joe, you yourself were a grief counsellor. You're now retired, but you lost your husband, and I believe you also lost your son. My deepest condolences to you, my goodness me. Thank you so much for calling. What would you like to say about this, Joe?
Oh, hello, Vanessa. Yes, I think it's just a matter of, it's a learning curve, I think, isn't it? And, you know, both of my husband and my son, they're still in my heart every single day. And I talk to them every day. And I just hold on to my beautiful memories.
And
that
what,
gives...
Joe, what Janet's just said now about, you know, doing things for the first time, going to a party on your own, going, you know, to a dinner on your own, going to the theatre by yourself, or going with friends, which is an entirely different relationship. It's not that they're not nice and supportive and good company, but they're not your partner, and it's not their sort of job in life to love you most and care about you and tell you to remember your coat, you know, because they're just friends. They're meant to be doing their friendly thing. Did you find the same thing? Very, very difficult to get through that part of life?
Well, I think, you know, my darling husband, he had dementia for 15 years.
Oh, right.
So it was a sort of a slow process. So I had to get on with it, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. There was no bitterness. I just embraced, you know, the time that we had together, which was nearly 54 years. Right. And that's, I still think about that. And with regard to my son, oh boy, I miss them both so much. But as I said, I talk to them every day, and, you know, that sustains me, really.
Gosh, Joe, thank you. I'm gonna say goodbye because we've got lots of callers to talk to, but thank you very much indeed. And the word sustains is a big one, isn't it?
Isn't it?
That
though?
Sustains me. Do you
Yes.
do you talk to your late husband?
Yeah, and in fact, I've got loads of different friends who haven't met each other, who've all lost their partners, and all of them separately said to me when John died, "It's not going to get any better." And I found that really helpful.
Because it was honest.
The idea that I would wake up one morning and go, oh, I've just remembered, and it doesn't get better. You have to grow around it. All the cliches are absolutely true. Yeah. And I remember ages ago hearing a friend of my mum saying after her partner died, and obviously I was much more young and callow then, and she said, oh, I say goodnight to him every night. And I thought, oh, bonkers. What do? I say goodnight to John.
Let's go to Margot. She's on the line in Bedfordshire and her husband died last August. And Margot is doing her very best to cope. I think the camera should be on Janet's face, not my face, because Janet's the person who's really going through this. Margot, hello. Thank you so much for calling. Chat to Janet about what's going on for you.
I just feel, good morning, good afternoon first to you and all your panel, Vanessa.
Thank you.
I just feel I miss him dreadfully. Every day I do talk to him like some of your other callers, but I do find it very difficult to talk to my family about him because they say it's depressing. I'm making them depressed by talking about him. So I've stopped talking about him to them. And as I'm 87 and most of my friends have gone, it's really difficult to have nobody to talk about him to. It's as if, sometimes I feel it's as if he never existed.
Oh,
and that's
he
a
really
horrible
did.
feeling. I talk to him.
Yeah, he really existed, and he, in a very big way, he still does, because he's such a huge and happy part of your life. And I honestly think if your family don't want to talk about it, this is where the grief counsellors come in.
Yes.
They are absolutely brilliant, and I have loads of friends who've been deeply comforted by that. But, you know, I think their motives are very odd in this, and I think it's fear. I think people are frightened. We're frightened of death anyway. We don't like talking about it. If somebody presents as somebody who represents the person who has been gone, they are a fearful object in lots of ways. And I've experienced that too, that people classically don't know what to say. And when you do start talking about it, they're embarrassed and they're frightened and they can't hear you.
And that's
Your
the thing
family are
about
just
people
not
crossing
hearing
the
you.
road to avoid you when you've just lost someone.
It
They think, oh
is.
my God, that's a widow. What do I say? I don't know.
Yeah.
Especially in this country where people are quite
Exactly.
inhibited about personal things. You know, you think, well,
Death
gosh, what shall I
especially.
say? It's
And
that
John
thing.
was 63, you know,
Yeah.
which is comparatively young. So I think the ripple amongst our friends was, well, if it can happen to him, how safe am I? And confronting me is a big reminder
Yes.
of the thing that they are fearful about.
Absolutely. Let's talk to Irene in North Ayrshire. And you lost your husband about a year ago, and I'm so sorry to hear that. It was just before your 60th anniversary.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry,
Yeah.
Irene. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing fine, Vanessa, and I'm enjoying your show, by the way.
Thank you.
My husband died a year ago, 4 months before our 60th wedding anniversary, and which was a bit hard. But I'm managing to cope fine. I just stick to a normal routine. I've got plenty of friends, and I always have something to look forward to with my family, holidays and different things like that. Going out for meals with my family, friends, etc. As I say, stuck to a normal routine, and I've managed. I miss my husband right enough, and there is times when it can be quite lonely and sad, but I just got on with it, and that's it.
I recognise all of that. And I actually think you said something really key, routine. Because when John died, I was on my own in the house. This was before my grandson moved in. But I've got a dog. So every single morning I had to get up and out. And I am grateful to Angela for doing that, because I felt more me as the months went past, just doing the things I used to do.
Yes.
I will never get used to coming back to an empty house. Not ever. Like I say, I'll never get used to the other half of the bed not being slept in. But I'm grateful for the fact, like you, that I put things in the diary that I sort of had to do, and it was pretty helpful.
Yeah, let's talk to Joan in Dorset. Hello, Joan. I know you lost your husband. It was cancer that took him from you. I'm so sorry. In 2019. Have you found a way of dealing with the grief and somehow living a life you can enjoy?
Sorry. Well, my husband loved cats, and we had a cat called Kemi.
Yeah.
And soon after he died, she developed cancer of the jaw, the same cancer that took him.
Oh.
But now I have two enormous Maine Coon cats, and they're the love of my life right now. I also live in Dorset, and I love the garden, and I feed birds, and I love them.
And so you found I think, things to love, creatures to love, who love you and who need you and who want you and depend on you. And you've found relationships that are meaningful, and that's incredibly helpful, although so difficult to do. You've obviously done so well, Joan. Thank you. Let's go straight to Anita in Hampshire. Hello, Anita. You did find counselling helped you. Hi.
Yeah. Hi there. I lost my husband. It'll be 5 years come November. It was middle of COVID. I said bye-bye to him at the hospital at Frimley, and I waved bye-bye to him. I spoke to him after his op on the Thursday, and he was dead by the Saturday morning. I don't need to explain how awful it was, but I was advised to go to cruise. Do cruise counselling, which I did eventually, and I can honestly say it was the best thing I have ever done. And one of the counsellors did give us her phone number afterwards, and she was mentioned about a group called the Next Step Group, which I go to every Saturday morning in Basingstoke. Well, when I can, not every Saturday morning, most Saturdays. Yeah. Can I just say, though, the thing that has helped me is speaking to people who know exactly where you're coming from, because until you've actually gone through a death of a bereavement, a child, you really cannot totally empathise. But the empathy I get from speaking to people who have gone through what I have gone through is just amazing, and it's helped me enormously. What has also helped me is that I like to do exercise and getting out and walking and running. These are things I did before my husband died, fortunately. Yeah. But definitely cruise, I would advise everyone to go to cruise.
Thank you very much, because I was kind of hoping somebody would say
Brilliant,
that.
yeah.
Because, people who understand, because they're in exactly the same boat, they're not frightened, they're not shy, embarrassed, tongue-tied, they can tell their story, and it really does.
Absolutely, yes. And in fact, for me, there was a sort of informal one, really, because a few people got in touch with me, because I wrote about losing John quite soon after. I lost him about the same time as you. And a couple of people got in touch and said, me too, can we meet? And they've become friends. And it does mean there's an unspoken thing between us that we all understand, and we know the difficulty of it. And also the presence of that person. It's so important to acknowledge that they were such a vivid part of your life. And as I said right at the top, the absence is colossal and cannot in any way be understood by anyone else.
Yes. Let's go to Chrissy, who's in Southampton, and she's lost 2 people since 2021. Hello, Chrissy. How are you doing?
Hi, Vanessa. Thank you for taking my call.
Pleasure.
In 21, I lost my ex-husband, and my twin boys turned 21 2 days after carrying his coffin in to be cremated. So I'm absolutely consumed with guilt for that. And also, people don't understand that because I was divorced from my husband, we were still great friends, and I still loved him. But the big thing is, I lost my sister, and it's our anniversary, her first year anniversary tomorrow.
Oh, my goodness.
And I find that people seem to think that after a year, you're, the first of everything, and then you're well. And I'm not.
And that's what Janet's saying, the same thing.
Absolutely. There is no timeline for this at all. And I can still get derailed by grief unexpectedly. And I have to try and let it in. I'm sure you do the same, because if you try and fight it, it gets much, much worse. And actually, you mentioned guilt, and I think that's equally important, because with grief comes guilt. Was I good enough? Did I help enough? Did I care for him enough? Did I say the right things? And I think those things are always mixed up together. And I'm going to tell you, you don't have to feel guilty. And I'm sure you'd say the same to me, but that doesn't mean we're totally absolved.
Gosh, thank you very much, Chrissy. And I hope that you are beginning after 5 years to feel at least that you've sort of accommodated it in your life a little more. I don't mean better, but that it's kind of a part of you. Yes, thank you so much for ringing. Let's talk to Christine in Shrewsbury. You think that you should check up on people, Christine, when they've lost someone recently?
Well, if somebody's ill or they've been in hospital, even if you don't know them very well, very often you'll phone up and say, is there anything I can do for you? When they're bereaved, you think about yourself and you feel embarrassed. You don't know what to say. Send them a blank card with your phone number on and say, if you need anything at all, even if it's just for me to pop round for a cup of tea, give me a ring. Let them know there's somebody they can turn to.
Tell me something, when you've done that, and it's a very kind and very sweet thing to do, Christine, but when you've done that, has anybody ever phoned you and said, you sent me this note and I am now calling?
Sorry, could you go a bit slower?
Has anybody actually phoned you when you've sent them that very nice card with your number? Have people phoned you and said, yes, I would like to see you or talk to you?
Well, I'm 84 now, so a lot of my friends have lost someone, and I have had 3 or 4 people who phoned back and said thank you so much. And my best friend, I went to see her 2 days after her husband died, stayed with her for the afternoon, and I said to her, don't forget, if you need to go anywhere, and I was thinking with the bank or the solicitor, let me know and we'll go. So she said, well, I've never been to Wales.
And did you go?
We did, yes. We went and had a week in Wales, so I had a lovely time.
Oh, well, that's good to hear, Christine. Thank you so much, and thank you very much indeed for calling. I
have got a message. If you know someone that's died, please just send a blank card. Phone number, I'm here if you need me. That's
message, and thank you very much, Christine.
Can I just enhance that? I think the spirit is absolutely brilliant, but having been on the receiving end of those, let me know if there's anything, I don't know what the answer is to that, because I don't know what I'm going to need. The best question I was ever asked is, what do you need now? What can I do for you right now? Because it could be just making a phone call for you. You know, when someone dies, you have to, as I'm sure you know, make endless phone calls with people who are inefficiently trained often to deal with somebody who's sad on the other end of the phone. Somebody can make that call for you. And the other thing I did was to absolutely fill my dance card, as it was, with people who came to walk with me, because when they'd say, what can I do? I would say, you can come and walk the dog with me. And so many people did that. I just had these appointments every day. They didn't have to walk for miles if they didn't want to, but it was somebody by my side. And also, as you know, much easier to talk to someone if you're both facing forward sometimes.